Hello everyone, our today's topic is large intestine. The large intestine extends from ileocecal junction to the mucocutaneous junction of the anal canal. So what are the parts of large intestine? Then we show the anatomical points of large intestine. First of all, parts of large intestines are the cecum and appendix. Cecum and appendix. This is cecum and this is appendix. The worm-like structure. This is appendix. This is cecum. Cecum is 6 cm long. Then the part is known as colon. There are 4 parts of colon. The first part is ascending colon, which is 15 cm long. Then transverse colon, which is 50 cm long. Then descending colon, which is 25 cm long. Last of all, sigmoid colon, which is 40 cm long. And then rectum 12 cm long and anal canal 3.8 cm long. In this viscera, we will discuss about the cecum, then colon, appendix, and then only up to the sigmoid colon, but the rectum and anal canal are not present in this viscera. So in anatomical position, you have to hold this viscera by like this manner. So you have to side determination. This is cecum. The cecum is identified by the presence of appendix, and this is appendix. The appendix lies posteromedially and the cecum is situated in right part, as it is the content of right iliac fossa. And this is the descending colon and sigmoid colon. These are situated in the left part. So in anatomical points, you have to hold this viscera in like this manner. This is left colic flexure. This is left colic flexure and this is right colic flexure. Or you can also hold this viscera by your fist in left colic flexure, right colic flexure. Then you have to concern about this that the left colic flexure is 2.5 cm below the transpyloric plane, and the left colic flexure is 2.5 cm above the transpyloric plane, and the right colic flexure is 2.5 cm below the transpyloric plane. And in anatomical points, and this is the viscera of large intestine, contains cecum and colon. The appendix lies posteromedially. This is appendix, and this is the direction of the appendix. The appendix lies posteromedially, and the right colic flexure is 2.5 cm below the transpyloric plane, and the left colic flexure is 2.5 cm above the transpyloric plane, and the convexity of the colon proper or the transverse colon is directed downwards. This is all about the anatomical points. Now come to the cardinal features of large intestine. There are 3 cardinal features of large intestine. These are tinea coli, sacculation or hostation, and appendices epiploicy. Structure of tinea coli. We say the tinea coli are aggregation of the longitudinal muscle. In case of vertical colon, the three tinea coli are present in like this manner. The tinea libera in the anterior surface, and the tinea omentalis in posterolateral surface, and tinea mesocolica in posteromedial surface. And in horizontal colon or in the transverse colon, the tinea libera, this arrangement is altered as tinea libera lies in the inferior surface, and tinea omentalis in antero-superior surface, and the tinea mesocolica in posterior surface. And these 3 tinea are formed as 2 bands, tinea omentalis and tinea libera are fused to form the anterior band, and the tinea mesocolica is continuous as posterior band in case of 5 cm proximal to the rectum. Now the length of the tinea coli is 4 meter, but the length of the large intestine is 6 meter. This 4 meter tinea coli holds all the 6 meter large intestine. So there is some hostation or sacculation in this viscera, and this is the viscera is hostated to occupies in 4 feet. It occupies in 4 feet tinea coli by 6 feet large intestine. So this is circulation or hostation, and this circulation or hostation are also a cardinal feature of large intestine. The another feature is appendices epiploicy. These are the fat containing peritoneal pouches. These are also present in large intestine but absent in case of cecum and appendix. Now come to the function of large intestine. This large intestine is not main absorptive organ, and this large intestine is mainly form the fecal matters, the liquid fecal matters that enters from the ileum into the cecum, which is formed by semi-solid fecal matter by absorption of water. So water absorption is the main function of this large intestine, and large intestine absorb 500 ml of water in each day. The another function of large intestine is it helps in digestion of cellulose by its natural flora, and it also produces some bacteria by its natural flora. The vitamin B and vitamin K are produced in large intestine. This figure shows the histological structure of large intestine. The histological to describe the histological of large structure of large intestine, it composed of 4 layers from outside inward. It is the serosa, and then muscularis externa, then submucosa, and then mucosa. The mucosa is composed of lining epithelium and lamina propria and muscularis interna. Muscularis interna is a layer of smooth muscle which separates the lamina propria from the submucosa layer, and the lamina propria is consists of loose areolar connective tissue which contains some connective tissue cells, some blood vessel, and some glands. And the lining epithelium is tall columnar cell or simple columnar epithelium, and which is also associated with some goblet cell. The main feature of his histological structure in case of large intestine is the presence of numerous goblet cells. In case under the microscope, we observe this structure of large intestine by presence of numerous goblet cells. And the submucosal layer. Submucosal layer is composed of dense irregular connective tissue. It contains connective tissue cell and some lymphatic nodules and blood vessels and some nerve plexus. The presence of Meissner's plexus is also a characteristic feature of submucosa. And the muscularis external layer, which is composed of outer longitudinal and inner circular muscle. The outer longitudinal muscle are aggregates as the tinea coli, and these are the aggregation of outer longitudinal muscle, and this form the tinea coli. And the outermost layer of the large intestine is formed by serosa or adventitia. And serosa is a connective tissue layer which arises from the peritoneum as lined by mesothelium, but adventitia is the absence of peritoneum, which is not covered by mesothelium. Now come to the development of large intestine. Large intestine develops from both midgut and hindgut. As it is a gastrointestinal system, it develops from gut system. The lining epithelium and glands of large intestine develops from endoderm of gut. Up to the proximal 2/3 of transverse colon are develops from the endoderm of midgut, and the connective tissues and musculatures are developed from splanchnopleurotic layer of lateral plate mesoderms. But the remaining part of the large intestine developed from hindgut. So the lining epithelium and the glands of the remaining part are developed from endoderm of hindgut, and the musculatures and the connective tissues are developed from splanchnopleurotic layer of lateral plate mesoderms. Now, blood supply of the large intestine. Large intestine is supplied both superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery. Both of them are branches of abdominal aorta. Is supplied both superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery because the large intestine is a derivative of both midgut and hindgut. So, a specific blood supply in case of parts of the large intestine. Specifically, the cecum and this portion, the cecum is supplied by anterior and posterior cecal artery, which is branch of ileocholic artery, and ileocholic artery against a branch of superior mesenteric artery. And this appendix is supplied by appendicular artery, which is a branch of ileocholic artery. And ascending colon. Ascending colon is supplied by anastomosis of ileocholic artery and right cholic artery. And the transverse colon, the proximal 2/3 of transverse colon is supplied by anastomosis of the right and left branch of middle cholic artery. Middle cholic artery against branch of superior mesenteric artery. And the distal 1/3 of transverse colon is supplied by ascending branch of left cholic artery. Left cholic artery arises from inferior mesenteric artery, and the descending colon is supplied by descending branch of left cholic artery and sigmoid branch of inferior mesenteric artery. The sigmoid colon is supplied by 3 sigmoidal artery and the recurrent branch of superior rectal artery. And the mode of the arterial supply. These branches arises from superior or inferior mesenteric artery. Then it forms the marginal artery of Drummond. From marginal artery of Drummond, the vasa longa and vasa brevia arises. Vasa longa supplies the outer 2/3 of the wall of the large gut, and vasa brevia supplies the inner 1/3 of the wall of the large gut. Now come to the nerve supply. As it is a viscera, it is supplied by autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is composed of sympathetic and parasympathetic supply. The sympathetic supply arises from superior mesenteric plexus up to the proximal 2/3 of transverse colon. The remaining part is supplied by the superior hypogastric plexus. And the parasympathetic supply. Parasympathetic supply is derived from both vagus nerve for up to the proximal 2/3 of transverse colon, and the remaining part is supplied by pelvic splanchnic nerve as parasympathetic nerve supply. Now come to the difference between large intestine and small intestine. The large intestine is called large intestine according to its caliber, not by the length, as because the large intestine is 1.5 meter long, but the small intestine is 6.5 meter long, but the caliber of the large intestine is greater than the small intestine. The large intestine is characterized by presence of numerous villi, but the small intestine is characterized by presence of numerous villi, but the large intestine is characterized by presence of numerous goblet cells. Villi are not predominantly present in case of large intestine. Crypt of liver cone. Crypt of liver cone are lined by absorptive cell, goblet cell and granular pennate cell in case of small intestine, but large intestine pennate cell are not present. Lymphatic follicle. Pierce patches and solitary follicles are present in small intestine. Solitary follicles are present in large intestine, which disperse in different part of the large gut, but Pierce patches are absent from large intestine. Special feature: the circular fold are present in the interior of the small intestine, but the cardinal features are present in large intestine. The cardinal features are tinea coli, hostational circulation and appendices epiploidy, which are absent from small intestine. And arterial supply. Small intestine is supplied by vasa recta and vasa recta arises from duodenal and jejunal branches, and the large intestine is supplied by vasa longa and vasa brevia. Now come to the specific part of large intestine. The commencement of the large intestine is the cecum, and it is a hollow organ which is 6 centimeter long, and it presents the ileocecal orifice, and this is the ileocecal orifice. This is the ileocecal orifice which presents in the posterior medial surface of the cecum. And 2 centimeter below the ileocecal orifice there is another worm-like structure which is known as vermiform appendix. The vermiform appendix is worm-like structure and which is suspended by mesoappendix. Mesoappendixes are the peritoneal fold. And appendix is very important for examination. Appendix has root, body and tip. Appendix has root, body and deep. Appendix is clinically very important, and the types of appendix are also important. The appendix, the topography of appendix is present by a point, that is McBurney's point. The McBurney's point is the point which is represented by a point junction of medial 2/3 and lateral 1/3. A line extends from umbilicus to the right anterior superior iliac spine. So it is the point defined by a junction of medial 2/3 and lateral 1/3 of a line extend from umbilicus to the right anterior superior iliac spine, and this point is tender in case of acute appendicitis. Appendicitis we described in next lesson, but the types of appendix are also important for examination. As the appendix is sized from 2 cm to 20 cm, the average size of appendix is 9 cm long. The types of appendix: the most common type of appendix is retrocecal retrocolic type. It is present in 60% of subject. What do you mean by retrocecal and retrocolic type? Retro means behind. Retrocecal retrocolic appendix are present behind the cecum, behind the colon. Another type of appendix is the pelvic type, which is second most common type of appendix, which is characterized by downwards medially direction. Another types of appendix are subcecal paracolic, splenic type, promontoric type, pelvic type, mid-inguinal type. And which type is most injurious in case of appendicitis? It is splenic type. More specifically, the pre-ileal variety of splenic type is the most common to occur appendicitis. As the appendix is a hollow tube, so it is common to aggregation of fecalith, and it is like a cul-de-sac. So any aggregation of fecalith obstruct the lumen and precipitate attack of appendicitis. And the main regions of appendicitis is the inflammation of the appendix, and it occurs the following most commonly due to following causes. The first cause is it is a cul-de-sac or blind tube, and the second cause is it is supplied by appendicular artery, which is an end artery. The presence of hiatus muscularis, we describe hiatus muscularis in this, and presence of numerous lymphatic follicles in lamina propria. Now come to the structure of appendix. In histological structure, it is varied from large intestine, as it is a part of large intestine, but there are some change in histological structure of appendix. The appendix is characterized by presence of numerous lymphatic follicles in lamina propria, which may be protrude into the submucosal layer. Due to presence of numerous lymphatic follicle in appendix, this appendix is called the abdominal pullis guard. And according to the structure, it also presents 4 layers from outside inward: the serosa, the muscularis externa, the submucosa and the mucosa. Mucosa is lined by lining epithelium, which is the tall columnar epithelium or tall columnar cell. In case of muscular cord, in some sites, as it presence of outer longitudinal and inner circular muscle, but in some sites the muscle layers are deficient, and that is from the hiatus muscularis. Hiatus means the deficient portion or the window, and the muscularis came from muscle layer. Where the muscle layer is deficient, it forms the hiatus muscularis. This is all about the appendix. And now come to the colon. The colon has 4 parts. This is ascending colon, this is transverse colon, and this is descending colon. The ascending colon is 15 centimeter long, transverse colon 50 centimeter long, descending colon 25 centimeter long, and sigmoid colon is 40 centimeter long. The vertical colon or ascending colon, blood supply is described in previous, but this is The junction of ascending colon and junction of transverse colon is known as the right colic flexure, or it is also known as hepatic flexure. The relation of hepatic flexure is very important. It is related above by the colic impression of liver, and posteriorly it is related with right kidney, and medially it is related to second part of duodenum. And this is the transverse colon. The transverse colon is suspended by transverse mesocolon, and which is a peritoneal fold, and it has some parts. The transverse mesocolon mesocolon is reflected from downwards and forwards anterior border of body of the pancreas, and which is continuous with the fourth layer of the greater omentum in case of children or in case of intrauterine life. And the lower layer of the transverse mesocolon covers the inferior surface of the body of the pancreas, which is continuous with the mesentery. But in case of adult life, the upper layer of mesocolon is derived from the lesser sac and sweeps upward over the anterior surface of the pancreas. And what are the parts of transverse mesocolon? It has anterior and this is the left colic flexure, also known as splenic flexure. This is the junction of transverse colon and descending colon. The relation of the left colic flexure is very important. It is covered by peritoneum, and above it is related with the colic impression of spleen, and behind and medially it is related with the left kidney, and behind it laterally it is related with diaphragm, and in front it is related with the posterior inferior surface of the stomach. And now come to the descending colon. Descending colon starts from left colic flexure up to the junction of descending colon and the sigmoid colon, which starts from the left pelvic brim. So the pelvic brim is the junction between descending colon and the sigmoid colon, and sigmoid colon extends from pelvic brim to the third sacral body of the third sacral vertebra. So what are the function of descending colon and sigmoid colon? Descending colon or sigmoid colon are a reservoir of fecal matter. The reservoir of fecal matter is not the rectum. It is voided to rectum when defecation occurs. Now the another thing, the sigmoid colon also a mobile part of the large intestine, as it is suspended by sigmoid mesocolon. The sigmoid mesocolon is fold of peritoneum, and the content of sigmoid mesocolon are sigmoid colon, sigmoid branch of inferior mesenteric vessel and marginal vessels of Drummond, a branch of superior rectal vessel, lymphatic and nerve supplies the sigmoid colon, loose areolar tissue and layer of fat. Now come to the applied anatomy about the large intestine. A term known as congenital megacolon, which is characterized by congenitally absence of parasympathetic supply or parasympathetic nerve plexus. In this case, the colon is distended, and this is known as congenital megacolon. In congenital megacolon, peristalsis are absent. No peristalsis occurs. No defecation occurs in the case of congenital megacolon. The another term is valvulus, which is characterized by the unnecessary engorgement or unnecessary enlargement of sigmoid colon. As the sigmoid colon is suspended by sigmoid mesocolon, the unnecessarily enlarged sigmoid colon, when suspended by sigmoid mesocolon, it is strangulated in the upper portion, and which causes the intestinal obstruction. This is all about the large intestine. So if you have any question or inquiry about large intestine, you have to post in our Facebook page or comment in comment section. Thanks everyone.